Hey everybody, this is Waldorf.
And this is Statler.
And today we're looking at the, whatever they're calling it, the 1.9 version for the Orcs and Goblins.
1.9 or the 2.0 beta or whatever. So
I think it's, yeah, anyway.
Because we're on the community engagement team, it was just explained to me what CET meant.
CET.
Which basically means if you do any kind of posting whatsoever in support of 9th Age and you're registered.
Correct. If they tap you on the head and say, congratulations.
Right.
We'll give you a nice little, whatever color our tag is.
Exactly. So we get our yellow tag, or yella.
Yella.
Yella. So they released some information and they've asked people to do videos during the Advent, the 12 days of 9th Age Christmas.
9th Age Christmas.
Yeah. And Blonde Beer is going to be releasing different videos. Some of the things already put out.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd just do our normal thing and do some reviews. And we're going to start with the Orcs and Goblins Armybook review. Now, this is the pre-version, so I think the same comment you see on all the posts.
Correct. This is the version they gave to us
Right.
to talk about, and even then they said these are still subject to change
Yes.
in the next week.
Nothing as it is as it appears.
Exactly.
Things are, rules are subject to change. So.
Don't put too much stock in every single little thing in here because
Right.
some things may change. Or they said it may go out exactly as you're seeing.
Exactly.
In this case, I know it will not. Because I've already gotten clarification on a couple things. So, anyway.
I thought that was a hope statement, not a factual statement. Okay.
So, anyway. So, let's start off with the Army model rules. First thing you can see in this one is all the unruly is crossed off. Unruly is no longer...
Unruly is dead. Long live unruly.
Yes. We talked about this in one of the sneak preview videos, the last vestige of the animosity.
Animosity from
finally
old Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Completely gone now.
Well, I find more importantly, not only is unruly gone, but hatred to dwarven holes is gone.
Not if you listen to this channel. Not if you listen to this channel.
So now you know where the hatred comes from. It has nothing to do with the actuality of the army. It's because one of us and one of us.
I don't know about one of us. I think you're listening to a pair of cave goblins in here.
Is a cave goblin, and if you actually saw him in real life, he even has a hood. But
I do have that.
That might be for something else we won't get into.
It is a black hood. Now,
yes,
come on.
it is.
So anyway. There you go. That's the big thing with the green hide races.
Right. So
Unruly's gone. Army hatred for dwarven holes.
But they've still kept all 6. You still have your 3 goblins. You still have your
which kind of surprises me.
Orcs. I
actually expected goblins to be 1 entry and with a little bit of a modification.
Well, once again, this is not the final Armybook.
That's correct.
This is just
you are correct.
4 major changes and 4 any rules updates changes to the book. So,
right. Things that had to be done based on
right.
The main idea for this was just to fix things that had to be fixed for the new rule book.
According to the community for the individual
armies.
armies.
And then a couple tweaks here and there on top of that.
And because the rules itself changed how things worked.
So here's a fantastic change to our army. We now have the war cry.
Yes.
We no longer have the war. We are down to a war. We now have a war cry. Does the exact same thing, different name.
It just doesn't have a name with an extra R in it.
Yeah. So I'm very
somewhat familiar, but not. Yes.
So there you go. That's the best thing we see in the book. We'll move on now.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So bites works the same. Nets are the same.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you talk about this shambolic and running amok stuff.
Okay.
And ricochet. It's too many rules for
yeah, this is let me go back to here real quick. This is a clarification I asked for, and they said they were going to fix here on the nets. The rule they're saying is both to a minimum of 1. So I said, so if you hit something that's strength 4 AP 1, the way this is written, that means it's going to drop to strength 3 AP 1.
Yes.
You're not losing your AP.
Yeah.
And it was the answer to me was, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We need to change the way that's written.
Okay.
So this is one of those changes that I was told will be taking place when the rulebook comes out. Anyway, just like I said, it was an oversight. They just said, oh, look, -1, -1, and we'll just go 0, 0.
Right.
It means you can never go below 1 AP. It's a grant AP? Anyway. Shambolic. All they did is kind of clarify the unit loses D3 health points with no save of any kind. It used to take D3 wounds with no save of any kind.
Right.
It's just the hit point.
Is now called health point. The wounds are now called health points. So
Wounds are health points. Running amok. Ricochet is, in effect, pretty much exactly what it was before. This is just rewording the whole thing to make it make more sense. And we've talked about this before. Mad Gits and what?
Wrecking teams?
Wrecking teams have this rule, and now one more model, which we'll talk about later. But we've got a whole page of rules.
yes.
I mean, it's a full, confusing page of rules for this one thing.
For something that's supposed to be a fluffy
Correct.
piece.
Yeah. Anyway, I would suggest as much as I don't know, as much what's the word for it? Hypocrisy, not hypocrisy. Anyway, hatred
that you're going to be receiving.
Yes, exactly. Much animosity as I'm going to be generating with this statement. It may be time for the Mad Gits to just go. You know?
Well, at least not operate the way they've been operating.
I mean, it's just way too... So you don't need a model. You don't place them on the table.
Just make it
it's a shoot attack that just happens. Done, over, move on.
It can work like breath attacks, frankly.
I mean, again...
It could actually be a form of breath attacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing a full page of rules for a model that you know... Anyway. Just a bit much for me, for my taste.
That's how I feel about them. I mean, it's much, and then the tracking, and especially in a tournament environment, now you're rolling individually for the individual guys,
right.
And
yes,
then you start putting all these control rules about how many you can have because too many is crazy, and yeah.
So, agreed. Born to Fight rule has changed. The model part's close combat attack gains +1 strength, +1 AP. Same as before, the first round of combat. After each round of combat, these modifiers are lost for the duration of that combat unless both the following conditions are met. You won the combat, and your unit, there is at least one friendly unit containing one or more model parts with the Born to Fight rule in the same combat that has more full ranks than any enemy unit engaged in the same combat.
Yes.
And then once lost, the bonus is regained once you're no longer engaged in combat.
Yes.
It's a long way of saying +1 strength. Anyway. It's still there. It's a slight bonus to us, the Orcs and Goblins, is that there's a chance for it to stick for the second round of combat.
If you
win and you have more ranks.
And you have more ranks.
Correct. I mean, it's kind of a narrow... I mean, it's probably not going to... Again, a little more... Like I think we've talked about it before. I said a little too complex for what it is, but it's there and it's a it is a slight bonus to us. So I'll take them where I can get them.
It is, and if you're going to be playing, where you have bus type units, if you can actually win the combat,
well, you've got to win the combat.
you can keep it going for. I mean, you may be able to do that with the more elite guys. Which have higher strength, but there's a problem in the 9th Age, and frankly 8th edition had the same problem, where core, poor bloody infantry has a problem fighting. It's just not any good.
Correct.
So there's this need to buff it through all these different ways so it fights better against elite guys, but these types of buffs never really work because they either favor small units when they should favor larger, whatever, and then I think the real issue here is on the 9th Age there needs to be and we'll talk about this when we do, Armybook change, rulebook change hopes in the future video, but they need to do something about core units and how they fight, not just that you have to give them buffs,
Right.
and everyone gets special rules to buff them. So, they're actually as good as these other guys. The problem is then the special guys or the elite guys get this rule too, and
Right.
it's over the top.
We make the special rule to buff core, but that same special rule can be applied to an elite. Now they're
Right.
even more elite.
Exactly. So it just so you never actually solve the problem. You just make the elites better.
Correct. Venomous Fangs, same as it was before, D3+1 wounds. The additional piece to this one is that if somehow you have battle focus, that's the new rule that when you roll a 6 to hit, it becomes 2 hits. Is this specifying that both of those don't get the Venomous Fangs rule?
Yes.
Which would be fantastic if it did. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a complexity that I think I'd rather have the fantastic than the
It's
complexity.
another... Anyway, it's just another exception to a rule. I just actually, hate to say it. I'll give credit where credit is due. I just listened to a video, Once Bitten's video, where he talked about...
I just saw it yesterday, yeah.
Where he talked about exceptions, and exceptions are killing him.
Right.
This is another thing, It does D3+1 room. Make sure, anyway, it's just the little minor things you've got to remember.
Yes.
Anyway. Moving on, special attacks. The Mammoth Stabber, still around. If the unit charged and has at least one full rank, nominate a single rank and file model at initiative step 10. This model gains impact hits D3. The resolve was Strength 5, AP 2, and multi-wound D3+1 against Towering Presence. So,
It's the big
stabber, mammoth stabber that's been there around for a while.
Yes.
Just kind of clarified the rules on it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's under the Army-wide special rules, but okay.
Because it's a weapon. Yeah, it's only available to...
It's only available to
2
one
units.
unit. 2, yeah.
2 units. Go ahead with the...
Okay, the Hereditary spell. H. Sure that H brings something.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. There you go. Bring the Pain. Basic casting value of 8, range of 18, so it's only got one value. It's going to take 3 dice to cast it. Fail to hit rolls with close combat attacks against the target. And I think, if I remember correctly,
Must be
re-rolled.
Correct.
Our version has things cut off, and it's
Yes.
gonna
Formatting was kind of screwy.
we can't fix it, but we're pretty sure that's what that says. It's a nice spell. Getting re-rolls off is something I'd actually like to see done maybe another way in the army.
Yes, which we'll talk about.
And 3 dice for a unit to get it, and it's only a single unit.
Well, no, it's a hex, so it's a single unit,
The target. Correct.
So if you've got multiple units fighting that
That's
target,
true.
you're getting
That's
a
true.
benefit, multiple benefits
That's
from
true.
it.
That's true.
So it's a little better than just
The,
a single unit. Possibly.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I said I'd like to see it not as the Hereditary spell. I'd like to see it as an update for something else we'll see later. But as a Hereditary spell, I'd like to see it have maybe 2 values, and either have a bubble version of it or make it repeatable. I forget what the term is for that, which some of the armies have.
Right. I don't think any have it on their Hereditary, but maybe they do.
Yeah, they
do. They? Okay.
Yeah. And because it's the type of thing that this is a fighty army, and if you're looking for ways to give it buffs,
re-rolling to hits is a buff.
Re-rolling the hit is a buff, as the beast herds well know. They get it without having to cast anything.
All right, I'm going to scroll back up just for 1 second to see if we missed something. Yes, it's not put in blue, but Feral Orcs.
Yes.
Feral Orcs did gain battle focus.
Right, so they no longer... The new frenzy rules, basically, you don't add 1 to your attacks. You just have a whole bunch of minuses as far as your leadership and things. But you also tend to get this rule called battle focus. Assume that's what it's still going to be called. Whereas if you roll a 6 to hit, you double your hits. So
right.
You get
every 6 you roll to
every
hit
6 becomes 2 hits, basically.
But you're down an attack, so it's anyway.
Yes, so you don't have as many dice to roll. That's the advantage.
That is an advantage, I guess.
And you have some, in theory, automatic hits.
Right. Not really. I don't see that.
I just said in theory.
In theory, okay.
Yeah, because you don't have to roll 4, you just get it. If you roll 4, you get 2 instead of rolling 2 dice and hoping for 2.
Right.
Yeah.
So, special equipment. We have the Omen of the Apocalypse for 120 points. This one is it's 10 points down from where it was. This was the Axe, the Apocalypse, or
yes.
whatever. Apocalypse. So it's down a few points. Does pretty much the same thing. The only difference is now you roll a single D3 and apply it to all strength, attack value, and AP, armor penetration. Other than that, it's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, well, I have a serious problem with it.
What's that?
Apocalypse should be spelled with a K because it's orc.
A pork.
Even if it's not a pork, it should be a pock with a K. There should be no C's. There are no C's in the orc language. They only use K's for everything.
All right. What else?
New item, the Shady Shanking. Well... Austin Powers may have something to say for this. Hand weapon and paired weapons enchantment. So this one is only limited to 2 weapon types, hand weapons and paired weapons, so no great weapons. Spears or otherwise. Attacks made with this weapon gain lightning reflexes, so +1 to hit, lethal strike, AP 6 if you roll a 6 to wound, and magical attacks. Matters against ethereal things. When fighting in a duel. A duel is the new word for challenge.
Right.
The fail to wound rolls with this weapon must be re-rolled.
Must.
I just love this must.
I actually see this as a very good option for an orc, for a warlord. I see him taking paired weapons to give you the 5th attack
because he's already strength 5.
And now the paired weapons, since they're paired weapons, they're going to be the new paired weapon rule. Of course, is you're ignoring parry.
Right.
So now I've got 5 hits that are just butchering infantry on 3s.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe 2s if I'm better weapon skill, and I probably am.
Right,
in
right.
common infantry.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can see this being used in a build where you want some guy where you're building your guy to be to fight troops, not other characters.
But you need to be in a duel to get the most out of this thing.
For the failed to wounds.
Yeah,
but again, you probably don't need that much against line infantry.
Right, but against character, you got enough.
Even against characters,
you got enough attacks. Strength 5, it's a nice thing.
Unless
you're probably going to be
6 on the first turn. And
yes,
really
so AP 3, which is a decent one. So yeah, it's not.
And speaking of, I hate to say it, but I hate to use this as the time to do it. But speaking of what you were talking about earlier, where the buff, you put a buff in to help something,
right,
and it ends up helping something else inadvertently. The Born to Fight rule on a unit is great, but on my orc warlord has this.
Yes.
He's in a unit. He ends up challenging. He ends up runs into a character or something, challenges him. Now I'm absorbing all the damage, and I'm going to keep my Born to Fight because I've got ranks behind me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's where it's going to be buffing the character more than the unit where it is. Anyway.
And that's true of most of these things. When they unit wide, it always improves the character.
That brings us to the Mazazappin Bow. Now, this one went up a few points. It can now be used by orcs. Orcs, by the way, the orc characters now can buy bows.
Yes.
Something we missed when we first talked about this one. You're hitting on 2s. I mean, it gains aim 2.
Right. So you hit on 2s if you don't move in the short
Profile
range.
is, it's changed to range 24, shots 3s. Mm-hmm. When we first initially reviewed this, we missed the fact that it sets the strength to the user.
Oh, we didn't realize it was a bow.
And the AP is a user.
Yeah,
we talked about it as earlier.
Yeah, but we didn't realize that the orcs could take bows. So.
Correct. But it still, even then, would have been strength 4 shots.
Yeah.
But this is kind of interesting.
But the difference between 3 strength 4 and 3 strength 5 shots
is incredible.
Yeah.
But again, I think the downside, of course, is I don't know that you're going to put a shooting weapon on an orc warlord. Typically, that weapon's going to be a fighty weapon.
Right.
Unless you're going to keep him back for using him as a leadership bubble or whatever. What I thought might be interesting is put this on an orc shaman who's strength 4, and now he's got something to do. 3 strength 4 attacks.
Oh, a lot of the multi-shot magic bows or shooting weapons, they tend to be better served on shaman, or sometimes BSBs.
Right.
When you don't want them necessarily, you want to keep them alive. You know,
Yes.
those are the guys that tend to get this stuff. It's not going to be given a choice between an Uber fighter, an expensive Uber fighter, or an expensive guy who sits in the back. You're going to take the expensive Uber fighter, unless the guy who sits in the back is just so amazing at what he does.
Right.
It's
a good point.
And while this is nice, it's not amazing.
No, I mean it's. Anyway, I think it'll be used at first, and then I think it'll slowly phase itself out.
Well, I mean,
now it does give the.
It has an advantage for the people who want to play the Orc and Goblin gun line, the most effective way to play Orcs and Goblins in the 9th Age.
That's a gun line.
Yeah.
Well, what
allows you to bolster your gun line.
We'll see later on. But this, another thought, of course, to use this is use it with the unit of guys with crossbows.
Yeah.
Simply because now they move and shoot with a -1 instead of a -2.
That's the reason to take it, I think.
So that's another advantage to it.
Yeah, because if you have both what are the 2 rules? Quick to fire and
not reload.
Is it reload or
no,
cumbersome or whatever that is?
Awkward. Unwieldy.
Unwieldy, there you go. You don't play you only pay a -1 for moving, you don't pay a -2. So yeah, that gives you a reason to take the crossbows.
Next thing we have is Tuktek's Guard, which used to be the plates of Tuktek.
Yes.
For 55 points, which dropped 5 points. The difference is, again, this is not armor in itself. This goes on the armor that you already own.
So you can have plate armor if you're a...
So an Iron Orc.
Iron Orc.
An Iron Orc can now use this without dropping his armor.
Right.
Which is kind of a nice benefit.
Makes more reason to take the Iron Orc characters.
Right. Now here you also lost your D3 impact hits that you had with this item.
Yes.
But you gained immunity to lethal strike.
Right, which is a nice thing to have.
It's kind of a handy trade-off. Yeah. I mean, the impact hits were nice, but it was generally used on a guy mounted on a wyvern.
Yeah,
so
that means you put it on something that you could get the impact hits for, and it makes it more of a clearly defensive item.
Correct.
+1 resilience or old toughness. You can still have plate armor with it, and on top of that, you're immune to lethal strike. So, means you can go into some of those units that maybe you would have avoided before.
Correct, like the
Tomb Guard or whatever they're called.
Yes.
The others, and huge blocks with lethal strike, with characters often we're not too thrilled to run into.
Correct.
Brings us to these are not in order, but anyway.
No, they're kind of mixed up.
Yeah, we have a banner enchantment, and we can have the Green Tide. It's for cleaning your clothes. 45 points. You can have up to 3 of these in your army. So the way the rules work, that means you can have 1 in a unit that has magic banners, which is pretty much everybody now.
Yep.
And you can have up to 2 of them, I remember, on your BSB, right? 2 enchantments.
I think only 1.
So 1 on the items.
But you can have 3 per armor. You can have this banner on 2 different units.
Or I may be running specifically in an Armybook, but I remember reading something about you can have up to 2 banner enchantments.
I'll have to check.
In any case, but you can have 3 in the army. And what happens here...
You can fit at least 2 in a single unit.
Yes, with your BSB and your other one. The Bears unit gains fight in extra rank.
Right.
Not a bad upgrade.
I guess 2 doesn't help you.
That's true, because it's not an additional...
It's not a +1 fight in extra
rank.
Right.
It's a fight in extra rank, so only 1 matters.
If you already have fight in extra rank. So does this mean this doesn't help you at all in unit of spears?
Yeah, the way it's written, that would be true.
Something we'll have to find out about.
So you're better off with spears, probably, because they're cheaper.
Yes.
They're like 1 point per model, that'd be 15 points, so...
Spears went up.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a little spoiler for the next page or 2.
Oh, okay.
Spears went up.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to figure out what the combination is. It's interesting buff because now the horde formation, as we'll see, is different.
Correct.
You're probably not going to take it with cheap large units any longer.
Right.
More with elite units. So this is a way to get that without having to be 10 wide. So
Yeah, I think you'll see it more across the board, not just in cheap units. The horde. What he's talking about is the horde now is called line,
Right.
and it's 8 wide to gain the fight an extra rank.
Yeah.
But the penalty for that, of course, is you no longer get a rank bonus in combat
Correct.
for your.
No, what I'm saying is, this banner is for the cheap units because you would never put the cheap units in the horde because you need the rank bonuses.
Oh, correct.
The other way around. Yeah.
Understood.
And the line, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Brings us to Mikanok's totem. Doesn't sound very orcish to me.
Mikanok?
Yeah.
It's got your K's in it.
It does have a K, but I'm just thinking Greek.
Okay.
What can I say? At the start of each round of combat, choose a special equipment. Not a piece of special. Okay. A special equipment carried by a model in an enemy unit in base contact with the bearer's unit. The chosen special equipment cannot be used during this round of combat.
So it basically shuts down a magic item the opponent has.
Yes. And as you see at the top of the thing, magic items are called special equipment. So,
Yes.
so you can, if you're worried about a particular spear in a particular elven unit, or you're worried about
Yes.
the particular banner,
Or a big lance that a Bretonian,
Exactly.
Equitane guy
Yeah, well-
charging down on you has.
yes, you can just turn it off in that round of combat.
Hey, well, that was nifty, but that's not going to work against me.
Now, it's not a particularly cheap item. It's not overly expensive, but it's definitely something to help you keep your character alive inside your units.
Correct. That brings us to the artifacts. Look at that. No trinkets. They are artifacts. We have the Crown of the Cavern King.
Should we put it with a K? Where's
For-
the K? I'm missing. I want the
For
K.
85 points. The K's over there in King.
Yeah.
It cannot be taken with by models with towering presence.
So no wyvern.
Yes. So all models in the bearer's unit, again, not limited to all models in the bearer's unit that have at least one model part of the green hide races. Common goblins, cave goblins, forest goblins gain vanguard
Yeah, so
and
goblins.
feigned flight. If the bearer is a common goblin, cave goblin, or forest goblins, its commanding presence and rally round the flag range is increased by 6.
Right.
So a couple changes in there over what it used to be, but it's still kind of nice. It used to give you a +1 to your armor. It used to be 5 points cheaper, but other than that, it's pretty much what it was.
We gained fame flight. You didn't have that before, did you?
You gained, did you?
Because fame flight is the ability to rally after you run away.
Yeah, you did have it before.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't recall that. Hmm.
Well, it even had it even better because it said if the models, the old rule was the wearer's unit gains vanguard and they move after rallying.
Okay.
Period. Not feigned flight. I don't know.
Well,
We'll
fame
have to see
flight,
what
you can
feigned
move and
flight
you can
is.
shoot. So
Feigned flight may have been the. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Correct. I
you
think
can
you're
rally and shoot. So you got a big unit of bowmen, you can run away and shoot again.
right. Okay. So anyway, so it changed a bit, but it's,
And it's
primarily what it was.
Yeah, still a goblin. So
It's funny that it's not goblin only. Anybody can take it, but it doesn't help you
but-
unless you're a goblin. It's kind of funny. Anyway,
yeah. So it would probably be better if they just put goblin only.
Yeah,
But,
no.
instead of writing
they don't want to discriminate.
they discriminate the back door. Instead of writing it so
Correct.
long and complicated, just say this for goblins only. I think it's funny to me that the goblins have, this is basically the old Skarsnik extension, I think.
What is this Skarsnik you speak of?
Yes, exactly. But it's just funny to me that the goblins are the ones that get this additional commanding presence because they're known for their leadership.
They're known for their leadership abilities.
Yeah.
I agree. Well,
it's an excuse to take goblin generals, I suppose.
the
But
excuse behind this one is to try to make a goblin only army playable. More playable, I should say. Anyway,
okay.
I'm just going to tell you what.
yeah,
I'm not saying it's valid. I'm just telling you what I believe.
yeah.
All right.
Brings us to the skull fetish.
Okie doke. I think that goes with the shady shanking over to the left.
I guess this is.
They did put these side by side.
This is a form of parasexuality.
All right,
Yeah.
come on now.
think that this name's got to change. Okay, 55 points. It's for wizards only. It's dominant. It's a dominant fish.
This gets worse.
So you can only take one of this equipment on your character. You may activate this artifact at the beginning of any friendly magic phase. If so, add X Veil tokens, and Veil tokens are like these 1/3 magic dice things, to your Veil token pool, where X is equal to the number of friendly units engaged in combat, up to a maximum of 3. So for every unit that you have in combat, up to a maximum of 3, so up to 3 Veil tokens.
Okay.
But you remove Y Veil tokens from your Veil token pool, where Y is equal to the number of friendly fleeing units. This reminds me like when I was in high school as a kid and taking algebra.
X over Y.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
C.
So this is kind of a there are no more from what we've seen Dispel scrolls.
I have not seen any.
Yes. And so it gives you the incentive to take some of these other types of old-fashioned... They used to be called arcane items. Don't exist anymore. They're all just a form of artifact.
Although this will not help you dispel anything.
No, it will not. Well, it could if it tells you if you hold those tokens until you're...
You cannot use Veil tokens in your defensive phase. Only the offensive player gets to use Veil tokens.
Oh, you can't turn them in? Oh, I misread that. Okay.
Unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct.
So basically, it gives you the ability to get up to an additional magic die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for some armies, and I can't remember if this army is the same, Veil tokens allow you to do some other things too. So, and it's tied to the army fighting. So, from a fluff perspective, I kind
of like it from a fluff perspective.
I like the item. I like the idea. For Orcs and Goblins, they're a fighty army, and they should get benefits for when they have guys fighting.
Correct.
And they should take hits for when they have guys running away.
They should be penalized by that.
Yes.
That's what you mean by that. Yes.
Yes.
Now, here's the confusion with this item that I had. So, reading what you just read, I've got an MSU army. I've got 7 of my units in combat, 3 of them that are fleeing.
Yes.
What am I gaining? The
you're
answer
gaining nothing.
is nothing.
Yes, because after you maximize at 3, then you
Correct.
remove Y. Yes.
That is correct.
Yeah, they probably need to work on this.
And they claimed that was also incorrect.
I would assume so.
When
Otherwise,
I brought this up.
it would make no
And
sense.
it's supposed to be X minus Y capped at 3.
Yeah.
Is the answer I received.
Oh, they're going to make it even more complicated the way to write it.
So,
okay.
So it's going to add another paragraph or 2 to this thing,
Yeah,
and it'll probably disappear because heads will explode as they try to write this.
I got to admit, I'm not a fan, and I've seen this in all these rules where they're adding these X's and Y's and stuff. I think that's an unnecessary.
Correct.
It makes the sentence look more complicated than it really is. Basically, you add Veil tokens
equal to the number
of engaged units
engaged units fighting greater than fleeing units.
Yes,
or whatever.
Exactly.
But
capped at a maximum of 3.
Yeah.
I just don't. I see it throughout the rules now. I say it just makes it. Oh, what is X? And I get to go look that up, and it's just
right.
It's unnecessary. Brings us to the Troll Ale Flask.
Okay.
Got some Troll Ale.
Troll Ale is always good.
I'll take your word for it. At the Bear's Initiative step, so whenever they would normally do their attacks, choose an enemy unit engaged in combat with the bearer that the bearer is able to attack with close combat attacks. So basically, it's got to be in contact with the bearer.
So I think they put that in and this is strictly me, did not ask this. I'm assuming that the bearer is able to attack, prevents somebody from using this into a challenge or a whatever they call it, a duel. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't say, oh, I'm in base contact with him. I can use this on a guy who's already fighting a duel with somebody else. See what I'm...
Yeah. Oh, it was somebody else. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's why that sentence is...
Well, it can cause some funky things with, being able to fight rank and file and all that too. This unit suffers a hit, which is resolved with strength 5 and armor penetration 10. So it's basically a troll vomit attack.
Yes, it's an additional attack.
Yeah. seems to be a little pricey for.
No, it doesn't say it's a one-use item.
I understand that, but
I'll pay 30 points for this every game.
you think it's an well? I guess I'm thinking of it as a regular troll attack, and you're trading in your attacks.
You're not trading your attack.
So you're not. You're getting an additional attack.
30 points.
Yeah. Additional attack. Yeah.
If
Absolutely.
this is not a one-use item, I'll pay 30 points
Oh yeah.
every game.
For an additional strength 5 attack, AP 10. Absolutely. I was.
Auto hit.
Yeah. It's a hit. Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of it. I was locked myself in the old way of thinking of troll vomit.
Oh,
you had to
where
trade
you
your
trade
attacks.
your
in.
attacks for
it's like,
it.
who the heck would do that but a mage? But yeah, no. If it's an extra attack, anything that gives you an extra high strength attack,
Right.
absolutely, this is definitely worth it. Cheaper than
If it sticks
some
to what
weapons.
we're thinking.
Yeah.
To what we're reading.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The Pan of Protection Pension is coming up next.
I prefer Pan of Pinch and Protection.
So you don't get pinched.
Yeah, exactly.
When successfully wounded, the bearer may use the armor of the model that inflicted the wound, and either its Aegis or its regeneration. Basically, its ward or old ward
Old
save
ward
is now
and
Aegis.
regen, yes.
Additionally, when the unit...
So they renamed ward, but they didn't rename regeneration.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're both common words, but anyway. Additionally, the bearer's unit, when the bearer's unit is the target of a spell, the bearer gains the same magic resistance as the caster of the spell. So the item is exactly identical to what it used to be, with one exception. You're not limited to putting it on an orc, goblin.
Yeah.
You can now put this on an orc.
Yep.
I love this item. I love this item as it was, and I like it even more now.
Oh yeah, this is a great item.
Orcs are fantastic at pounding troops.
Yep.
So now, the only thing you really worry about an orc is running up against a character who can pound you.
Yep.
Now, for 30 points, I can match his defensive kit.
Yes.
He's paying 100 and some whatever for his defensive kit. I'm paying 30 for mine.
Yep.
On a goblin, that's risky because troops can take you out.
Yes.
But on an orc, not so much.
Well, you're still probably going to have some kind of basic armor yourself. But
You are, but I'm just saying this is...
So you're not totally naked.
Army organization.
So army organization has stayed the same,
Yeah,
correct?
the percentages did not change at all.
Okay, so this is the first one is the Orc Warlord, and this is the new format.
This is the new layout, which will take a little bit for me to get used to.
I think it's going to take a lot for a lot of people to get used to just because it's so different than the old layout. But
Right.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just going to take a while.
I mean, basically, you start with a global line, then you go to your defensive stats, then your offensive stats. It's usually not this confused because there's only one entry on a unit.
So what they've done here is they've listed the 3 different types of Orc Warlords. No, it is only Warlords. The hero comes later.
The hero is listed separately.
They've now separated the characters into heroes and lords again. Yeah.
So of course up top you can see there's size infantry, size standard type infantry,
and the base size
25.
is before, and then what his name is, the single model, same movement, and how the movement you have, instead of having just doubling your advance to be your march, it's now stated. So you move 4 as before, you march 8, and this is
discipline.
Leadership. Thank you, which is the leadership of 9. We have the 3 different warlords, starting with. I'm going to go top, bottom, just so. So we have the common orc warlord has 3 hit points as before, defense is 6.
The easy thing is the only thing that's changed at all in this chart was this 5, and I looked through them.
Okay, yes, that is correct.
And that's the only difference.
And I'll just finish. And then the common orc lord on the bottom, you see it has 4 attacks, 6 offensive skill, 5 strength, 2 AP, because now AP is separate from the strength, and aggressiveness, which is the old initiative. Agility, is the old initiative, which is 4, so the same. And you see on the defensive, it shows you what the armor is of the particular characters. On the offensive, it doesn't have a lot of options, but they're all down below. So
correct. All right. So we start with the common orc warlord, who's 220 now, which is actually down 20 points from where he was before.
Mm-hmm.
He can take where is he?
He can take a bow now.
He can take a bow now where he could not before.
Which is on a 4-up, which is interesting.
The bow hits on a 4-up, correct.
Yeah.
Which means he was...
The equivalent of ballistic skill 3.
Oh, okay. Correct. So he's crappy ballistic
Yeah.
skill. And the only reason to give him this, I guess, is so he can take the Zeppin bow.
I guess so, yeah.
Or
just
another-
because
or
you-
maybe there's a base bow enchantment in the rulebook.
Or
I
just
did not-
because you got units that can take them, why can't the character take the same thing that the units can take
Correct.
from
That-
general,
Good point.
you know?
Now, interestingly enough, the boar came down by 10 points for a mount.
That's good.
The boar chariot went up by 10 points
Okay.
as a mount. And the wyvern came down 10.
Okay.
So kind of shifting around the values down
So minor
here.
balancing.
Not a huge deal down in here. Moving on, the feral orc, he's 260. He's also down 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
He can now have light armor. He could not before.
Right. Which means he can take armor enchantments now.
To put on top there.
Right.
So you can have a feral orc with that plates of tuck tech or omen of tuck tech
Right.
to bring his toughness up to 6,
Right.
which is an interesting thought.
Except he's going to be running off all by himself all
Yeah.
the time.
His boar, well, not so much. Anyway, his boar came down by 5 points. And what else? His wyvern actually went up by 30. So you're really paying to put this guy on a wyvern.
Yep.
And that was kind of the difference with him.
For somebody who's been charging off by themselves half the time.
And the Iron Orc Warlord for 285. He's actually taken a 15 point. He's 15 points cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have? His boar is down 10. His chariot is up by 40. And his wyvern is down by 10. So it's a lot of fiddly tweaking in there.
Right.
It's just kind of...
The balancing team's been busy.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the boar chariot for this guy is 90 and for this guy is 120, you know, it's a big difference.
Yeah, I guess because of the armor save.
Yeah. Special equipment. The war cry went up by 5 points. This was the old warg.
Yep. But you must take it.
But you must take it if you're a general.
And they have to do it this way because you could have more than one warlord in your army.
Correct.
Yeah.
Shield went down by 5 for all of them. Great weapon and lance both dropped 10 points.
Okay.
And I think the paired weapons stayed where it was.
Okay.
It did.
So the lance is still expensive.
Lance is still expensive, but
Comparatively.
not as bad as it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something that only gives you a 1-turn bonus, and as compared to the great weapon and the paired weapon. So, but yeah, okay.
Correct.
So we have the Orc Chief, which is the hero, so it's split out. We've gone through the details of the other ones. I'm not going to go through all that. Really, the only thing that's different on top is the Feral Orc Chief. Its defense has gone 4. And what we've noticed, basically anyone, and since Ferals all have Frenzy, what's it called? Frenzy, that's what's happening here. It looks like, from what we can tell, everybody that has Frenzy has had their defense go down by 1 or 2.
Correct.
So basically, one of the minuses is that you're going to be a little easier to hit. There was an old rule that said +1 to hit. That clears to be gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That scared me because I thought it was a combination of both.
Yeah, which was going to be hideous. But so it's clear that it's just a tweaking of the defense value. So these guys basically are a little easier to hit
Right.
in some cases.
They're not as worried about defense as offensive, and I can kind of see that
Yeah.
thought line.
I can understand it from a fluff perspective.
Points wise, I mean, you can see down there they can now take bows.
Yes.
The feral orc can now take light armor.
Yes.
Other than that, they just did another little tweaking around. The shields for everybody dropped by 5. Great weapons and lances went down by 10. Where is this? It's not over there, is it? There you go. Great weapons and lances, they used to be 20. They dropped down by 10. Paired weapons went down by 5. What else? I think that's it. The characters are priced exactly where they were before. A couple of the weapons options changed. And there were some minor tweakings in the mounts. The common orc pays 10 less for a boar than he used to, pays 10 more for a chariot, and 10 less for a wyvern.
Right.
And the feral orc kind of matches what we saw before. -5 if he's riding than what it used to be for a boar. Boar used to be 35. and the wyvern used to be 170 because they used to penalize that heavily for the
Right.
frenzy charge.
Right.
The frenzy, the other difference between frenzy is now 7 plus your advance.
Advanced move is when,
So, like for instance,
as far as when you have to roll to see if you
correct. If you're a
charge or not.
feral orc on foot, you only test if somebody's within 11 inches of you, not your maximum total possible charge.
test for a charge you don't want to necessarily
correct. It used to be you had to test if they were within 16.
Right.
Now it's down to your average charge.
Because it was a total of your dice plus your move.
correct.
So,
So
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's why they're bumping the cost on this thing up even
Mm-hmm.
more.
It seems like the difference between the common orc chief and the common orc warlord is not so great, but you're getting a lot for the chief that you may for the warlord you may actually see people want to take that, whereas the iron orc, this points difference is quite substantial
For
between the warlord and the chief.
oh yes, yeah, it's like 120 points,
Yeah.
something like that.
So I can see people less wanting to take more orc warlords just to get combat ability.
You mean orc chiefs?
No, the common orc warlords, because there was 100 and the chief is only 120.
20, but this guy's 220.
Oh, sorry, what I was thinking
Common orc's 220.
is 100 points,
It's 100 points difference for an attack
Yes,
and a
yeah.
strength.
and the weapon skill, offensive skill.
A
And,
couple little minor
yeah.
things, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I still think chiefs are going to be around because of the
well, you have your BSB, but
yeah,
which forces
has
it.
to. All right, the new shaman. Again, down here, the price difference on this one's going to be odd, so I'm not 100. Things have changed so much with magic that it's
so
hard to go through that. But basically, his defensive skill is going to drop down
for the feral orc one.
for the feral
Yes,
orc.
the other guy is the same.
That is correct. Points from what I looked at are roughly the same. Again, if your shaman is your general, you must take the war cry.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Oh, look at that. It blew my thought. You cannot take a bow enchantment with this guy. Oh, well. I was thinking you could take the Zappin bow, but he can't because he doesn't
can't
have a
take a
bow
bow.
option.
There you go.
Oh, well. So much for my dreams of glory.
There you go.
So, an orc shaman gets a single spell. If he becomes an adept, he gets, I think it's an additional
2 out of the
one
first
more.
4.
And then if he becomes a master, he gets
It's 4 out of
spells.
all 6.
Correct.
So,
But he can't take 1 and 6. Or
but you
4
but you
or
get
2
the same +1 if you're an adept or a master.
to cast.
Yeah, with this point spread that I've seen, I'm wondering if we'll see more dual adepts instead of single masters.
If your model has a secondary purpose, I think you're correct.
Yeah.
If you like, anyway, if your model does double duty and fights a little bit or something,
Right, or you're playing
more
MSU
likely.
and you don't like having so many points in one guy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Coming on to the mounts, the first thing I'll point out on the mounts is
The
a fantastic
mount.
change, or not fantastic, I mean really nice. The boar now has gone up to strength 4.
Yeah.
And he keeps his devastating charge of +1 strength, +1 AP. So the boar is now on a charge strength 5 AP2,
Right.
which is really nice to have that back.
Yeah, I'm fine. I as you know, I think
They're trying to encourage boar boys a bit.
I think cavalry mounts are too weak in the game. I think it's a holdover from Warhammer that they haven't overcome. But so I like to see when they boost them up a little bit.
Other than that, everything in here looks about what it was. Not a lot of changes.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw the point.
The war boar on the
differences up
chariot
top.
is the same strength 4.
Get
so,
the same benefit. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if he's pulling a chariot or not.
Right.
He's still good. Still strength 4, 5 on the charge.
Right, which helps with your grinding a bit too.
Yes, 1 extra strength 4 attack.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the Goblin King. There's absolutely no changes up in this top
No,
stat block.
he has to take the war cry if he's a general. That's different.
He does, and because the Goblin King used to have to take used to get the Green Tide bonus,
Right.
the fighting extra rank. Now he gets the war cry. which is actually really nice because I just played a game where I was debating over a goblin or a orc, a goblin with that I could put the 18-inch crown on to give me an 18-inch command,
Right.
or an orc where I could get the war cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the war cry is a nice bonus.
Having it at the right time.
The Common Goblin got a little bit cheaper. He went down by 15 points. Cave Goblin, Common Goblin went down by 15, but his Chariot went up by 10.
Okay.
Kind of odd. Some of the let's start
He gets an armor save and he gets a wound out of it, right?
out of the Wolf Chariot. Yes.
Yeah.
The general equipment. Skip ahead to that real quick.
Okay.
Because I missed that. All the shields have gone down by 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
The heavy armor is -6. The heavy armor used to be 16, now it's 10.
He now has a bow
Kinda
3+,
nice.
so the goblins shoot better than the orcs.
Yeah, well, they're bows.
No, that's fine.
Orcs
I
don't use
just
bows.
think it's interesting.
Actually,
yeah.
it is, but I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I'm fine with
That's
it.
the one thing I think they should do better.
Yeah.
Their bow actually. What happened with their bow? Their bow actually went up a point.
Okay.
Used to be a point cheaper.
That's what rounding everything off the 5s.
Yeah. Paired weapons went down by 5. The light lance actually went down by 15. That's a major change there.
Yeah. Well,
But no one took it. But it's
No.
there.
yeah.
The great weapon went down by. Great weapon and lance both dropped 20 points. Goblins were paying 30 points for a great
Yeah.
weapon or a lance.
Crazy.
Especially, again, we'll talk the same thing you mentioned before. For a lance that you might get to use 1 or 2 times in a game, you're
Exactly.
paying 30 points for it.
Yep.
Which is almost a magic item. Or it is some cheap magic item.
Oh, absolutely. And given the choice, why would you, unless the points are crazy, why would you ever take a light lance when you had a lance option?
Correct. Back up top a little bit. The Goblin King is the same price. What we do see here is they caught on to one of my favorite models. The Cave Gnasher used to be 40.
Yeah,
For
it's so overcosted at 55.
So now he's 55, which
Yeah.
is still less than a Equitane horse, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked at
Well,
the
he's
new
only
book
got a handful of strength 6 attacks. So
yet. The horse is much more mobile. This
Horse
thing
is-
only moves 6.
exactly.
Skip the fact
And
that
it flies.
Shh, quiet.
Yeah.
Um,
Almost as fast as a Pegasus.
The Forest Goblin King has poison attacks. He can take the spider and the huntsman spider. They're still the same. The big difference here, of course, is the Gargantula for a mount dropped by 50 points for a Cave Goblin King. I guess they caught on to the problem with the Forest Goblin King on a spider, and it's nice having those 8 spider attacks, 8 goblin attacks, and thunder stomp when you're fighting a single champion.
Yes.
So they discounted it based on that, I would believe. I think that's where the source of this came from.
That could be.
Now, in addition, the Mother Shrine addition to this Gargantula is no longer an option. It is now a requirement.
Oh, interesting.
But it is free. And
Okay.
we'll see in just a minute what it does.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
It's a little further down. Goblin Chief.
It's a Goblin Chief. He's basically the same on top. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Points, you've got the points, so you have to tell me.
And the bottom, the only thing that really hurt on the bottom, of course, is the Cave Gnasher went up. It's more expensive for him to ride it because he's getting more out of it.
He's getting a wound out of it.
Still not.
Still
I mean,
a
it's
bargain.
still, what do we got? 135 there. You can give him the lance for make him 145. And I always gave him a shield. Can you give him a shield? It comes with a shield.
Yes.
So now it used to be 122. Now he's 145.
Well, what's
Still well
interesting,
worth
he
that
comes with
price.
light armor and shield for all 3
All 3 options.
options. Okay.
Correct.
I didn't notice that.
Yep.
Yeah. The points for the mounts, the only one's difference is the Cave Gnasher.
The Cave Gnasher was the only points for the mounts.
Okay.
Other than that, the bow went up by a point. The paired weapons and light lance
Was the
went
Huntsman
down by a
Spider,
point.
that was only 50?
I believe so. Let me check real quick. I think the difference was they gave it a discount because of the maneuverability of the little one. Yeah, Huntsman Spider. Oh, what are we looking at? Chief?
Yes.
30-50 for the Forest Goblin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other one doesn't have it. So
And the other 50.
for some reason I thought,
Oh, well, sorry. The wolf, his wolf chariot did go up. The common goblin went up. Sorry,
So-
went down by 10
oh, so they dropped it? That's weird.
on the chief.
But the chariot, which he gets even more out of it than the other guy does.
Correct. I mean, some things were just kind of
Yeah, that's odd.
Odd.
I guess they didn't see enough of them. He can take the war cry if he's a general.
yes.
If you're really trying to save points, I guess it's okay in the little warband
Must
games.
take the war card.
Must take it. Yes.
That's going to hurt me in the warbands game. If I run a goblin. Last time I ran an orc.
Yeah.
But if I run a goblin, that's going to hurt me because I would do it so I didn't have to pay that 45.
There you go.
I'm scrubbing for points in those games.
Yeah, yeah. And the bow also hits on the 3, so
Right. And of
Okay,
course,
so-
Green Tide is gone.
Yes.
The old benefit they got.
yes, yes. Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor. So we got the Witch Doctor. Kind of the same thing you saw before. It's the points are. Let's just go with the points are different, but it's based on the fact that shaman are different, mages are different. The advantage you see, the cave goblin can take light armor.
Right.
The common goblin gains light armor. The cave goblin can take light armor.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the forest goblin is still left out.
Well, oh. Wow. That's unfortunate.
What's that?
The Force Goblin can't have light armor.
None of them could before.
Yeah, but now that with the combined, special equipment,
Yeah, you can't take armor enchantments.
you can't take any kind of armor enchantment. So that's kind of that's a big deal, I think, for
Could
those
be.
guys. So the only reason you would take this guy, I guess, if you want to put him on a big spider.
Or a little spider.
Yeah, no, I said
Yeah.
that you'd want to take the guy.
The big spider actually went up 50 points for him. Used to be 450, now it's 500.
And he's leadership 6.
And he is the Force Goblin's leadership 6.
Yeah. Okay.
So he doesn't become any better than the stubborn 6 that the spider already had.
Yeah. So. Okay.
The cave goblin costs 150 points. Which is way more than the other two, simply because he comes with
The power shrooms.
2 power shrooms, which you can use this as you cast a spell, and the spell suffers a minus D3 to be dispelled. It's D3 harder to be dispelled, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
Um,
And it's the same paths of magic that they had before.
Witchcraft, thaumaturgy, and
Mm-hmm. Pyromancy.
thaumaturgy. Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah.
You just didn't see people take it.
Right. Brings us to the goblin mounts. Interestingly enough, the chariot did not gain a march move bump.
Yeah, I thought the goblin one would.
Thought it would. I thought it would be like a 9-14, 9-12.
Yeah, like some of the elven things that we've seen. Yeah.
But it did not, obviously.
Yep.
Cave Nasher mounts only up to 3 per army,
And
which is what it was.
it's large, and it counts as a beast. Well, that's interesting. So if it's large and you put a rider on it,
Right.
and it's basically monstrous cavalry. So
Yes. It's not giant.
well, it sees like a giant, right? Because you always see up one level when you're on the mount. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and it can be seen.
It can be seen 1 level higher.
Yeah, so it gets all it doesn't get the +1 hit from cannons, but otherwise it's basically gigantic.
Yeah, I guess so. A large beast.
Yeah,
Good point.
and there's your
Mother Shrine. The Mother Shrine now
is free. Best of all, it's free.
free. All friendly models within 12 gain channel 1. That should be, I believe that's going to turn into
Which is one veil
channel
token.
1, which means you generate a veil token.
Yeah, so you get an extra veil token.
But this is weird. I think this should be channel +1. Because all friendly wizards already have channel 1.
That's True.
So if this is +1,
You would get 2. That was what makes sense.
you
You
might
get 2 per
generate
model.
2 per model. That would actually
Yeah.
be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So you're going to go.
If you're going to go light mage heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And we come to orcs.
So there's an advantage of taking more light mages instead of the big mage.
In the
If
veil tokens.
you have any points left after paying for that spider.
So orcs. Ferals lost their 1 defensive weapon skill, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
It's going to be across the board for Frenzy, it looks like.
Because they're frenzy.
Other than that, orcs in general went down by 5 points for the first 20. Not a huge...
Yeah, it's little balancing stuff.
Not a huge change, and the additional ones are a point less than what they used to be.
So they made orcs cheaper.
So orcs got a little bit cheaper.
Try to incentivize people to take them.
Correct.
This is something I was noticing in this book, and I understand why they're doing it, but I think it's a mistake. You have the types, so the special rules that being feral is up on top. So they don't repeat it here.
What do you mean?
As far as frenzy and
correct.
battle focus, I think they'd be better served still repeating it here.
I agree. Should be in this line.
Yeah.
This stat line.
Because if you're going to use these things as shrink them down and use them as unit cards, then you want to have all the rules.
I agree.
Associated with it.
And it would be much better if they were down here instead of up there.
Yeah.
You can do it up top. I would leave it up top where
You
it
leave
is,
it there.
just so you know what the general thing is.
Right.
But to have it down here means you don't have to reference the top.
Exactly.
I'm thinking new players.
Absolutely.
Opponents.
And opponents.
You know,
I don't see that rule here. Now I have to go back to this front part and show them. So
correct.
I think it'd be better if they incorporate it together so people then they can take
good
these.
idea.
Because what I envision is you take these things and try to, where you can, maybe not without the points part, but you shrink them down and you make little battle cards out of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, as far as options for orcs and goblins, options for orcs. Where does it go down here? So really what happened down here is spears are up by a point. Spears used to be a point apiece. Now they're 2 points apiece. That's the big change to their equipment.
Okay.
They can now take a banner. Each unit, as we talked about before.
Spears are the best weapon in the game, so it makes sense to be more expensive.
Spears, it's giving them +2 initiative if they get charged.
Yeah.
Sorry, +2 agility.
And
On the round they're charged.
And additional AP.
The stabas went down a few points.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, everything else closed the same, except for those of you who like the heavy armor crossbow orcs, they are now 6 points a model instead of 8 points a model upgrade. In addition, the old rule was you had to trade in all your equipment. Now you can have, for 7 points a model, basically a point cheaper than what you did have before, you can have heavy armor and a shield on your crossbow orcs.
Right.
So I think you might see those sneaking into a few more lists.
Yeah, because you've...
It used to be an 8 point a model upgrade is what it used to be.
Right, it ends up being a 7 point model upgrade with a shield, and and the base point is down by 1 also, so you're slightly cheaper.
So it's 2 point. You're 2 points a model cheaper for the upgrade, another point a model per orc for the general orc upgrade, and now you can even add shields and come in cheaper.
Yeah.
Which means you have parry, which means you have a 4-up armor from shooting.
Heavy armor and shield.
Shoot with your crossbow while it's your turn. Put it down when it's the opponent's turn, and pick up your shield.
Well, you'll always have the shield.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm using my crossbow. Oh wait, I've shot. Let me put my crossbow around, put my shield. So I have a better.
I think of it more as a pavois where they've poked it into the ground. We'll work with that.
It's funny. I like it.
Anyway.
So like I said, I think you might see these sneaking into a few more.
I think you will, because now I've got a really good armor set. I mean, for general troops.
For an orc, you have a good armor save. You have a 4-up armor save.
I mean, they're not super cheap, but they're also shooting at the same time. So, you may see these guys.
Yep. I think so.
Well, you can only fire in 2 ranks, and you got 20 guys, so.
What's that?
They're
crossbows. So
they're crossbow. You can only fire in 2 ranks. So, you have to go kind of wide with them. And,
Go real wide, take 30.
yeah, there you go. So
Takes a lot of terrain.
you're probably going to have a lot of wasted shooting with them. So
Take a while for an enemy to get around to your flanks that way.
there is that. It's one wide all the way across.
Cover the back ranks to prevent
Absolutely,
ambushers.
absolutely.
Now you're thinking. I'm liking this better.
And
just what does my max unit size cap out at?
notice, and then the last thing we have may take. Where are you going?
Oh, sorry. 50.
May take a banner enchantment. So there's no
Yes.
more veteran standards.
Correct.
Basically, you're going to see almost everyone can take a banner enchantment now. Not, everyone that has a standard in their ability in their army. Almost everyone has the standards in their army. And it tells you how many points are limited. So it's limited to 50 points.
Yeah.
So the differentiator now, and I really like this, is
I like this a lot.
there's more of these banner enchantment per unit, so you can actually upgrade units. And they differentiate between elite and not elite or special by how many points those enchantments are.
Correct. All right. Head bashers. Ed bashers.
Ed bashers.
Ed bashers.
There's no H in there.
Orc players will be happy to see that the Ed bashers max size increased back up to 35. Still not great, but it's better than 30 it was.
Yeah.
So, it's a bonus.
Starting strength?
The starting strength went up, was minimum 10 before, now it's 15.
15.
Basically, the first 15 come in 10 points cheaper than if you bought 15 before.
Of the old points. So they dropped the points a little bit. Okay.
And it's -1 per orc afterwards. They used to be 18 before, now they're 17.
Yeah.
So you get less than a point a model cheaper on the first ones, a point a model cheaper on the additionals. So orcs overall basically came down by a point.
So the one unit if you took orcs that you took always, which was this one, got cheaper.
Correct. Nice point, okay. Overall, looking down through here, of course, like I said before, the feral orc lost a defensive skill. The shield dropped by a point. The spear went up by 2 points.
Yeah, they doubled it
because it's just that good.
Makes a big difference on strength 4.
Right. And the stabba went down.
Well, strength
by
5 on the first
points.
turn.
Stabba used to be 30, now it went down to 25.
Yeah, still costs too much. And
For
paired weapons.
D3 strength 5 impact hits?
If you
It's
get
not bad for that D3 strength 5 impact
if you get the charge off often, I suppose.
If you get the charge off.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you happen to be fighting something that gives you the impact hits.
anytime you charge, you get.
The multi-impact hits.
Oh, then it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only strength 5, so it's still got to wound that big nasty thing.
Right.
But that chance is there. It's
Yeah.
really nice. So, I mean, that's the change to the Ed Bashers. So, minimum size went up by 5,
And you'll also
but a few
see
points cheaper.
they're still charging 20 points across the board for all champion,
They are.
musician, and standard bearer.
50-point magic item for as many units as you have. Oh, well,
Yeah.
these are one per army unit. But
Yes.
Interestingly enough, the orcs, the common orcs, did not gain a maximum number of bows.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was kind of expecting that to happen. I thought that was an oversight from before, but maybe there's some reason they do that.
Just want to make the army shootier.
Orc boar boys. What do we got here? We first 5 are the exact same points. Additional models are 2 points cheaper. When you're talking about the maximum of 10, you're
Right.
talking about 20 point for a max out unit. Not a major difference.
Yeah, 4 units in the army. Same movement as before. Nothing's really changed. The feral, as all the other ones, is down on defense, so it's going to be hitting on 2s and 3s all the time. The boar's up strength 4, as we mentioned, and gets an AP 1 in addition to strength 4, plus the devastating charge rule. Harnessed is, I like that better than I forgot the other word they were using for a while. Basically, if you're right, the amount is restraints. Yeah, that rule basically means it's the mount.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there'll be certain things that don't apply to harnessed.
Right, like attacking in extra ranks and things of that nature.
Yes. Common orc border riders free, can take a lance for 4. That's what, these are all pretty much the same. Interesting thing on the feral orc boar boys is they gave them an extra attack on the charge.
On the charge, yes.
Which is, kind of nice. So now they have the extra attack on the charge plus the, what's it called? Battle focus?
Yeah, it does seem that a few, I'm not a huge fan of the battle focus change, but I have noticed there's a number of units. They just added the attack to the stat line.
To the model.
Yeah, so in addition to battle focus, so it is an overall buff in those cases.
Right. Yes, if they have that.
Yeah.
Correct. Other than that, like I said, we're pretty much where we were.
Yep.
50-point banner enchantment per unit.
Yep.
You can have up to 4 of these in the army. Brings us to my wonderful little guys, goblins.
Yes.
Goblins, what do we got? 120 points for 20 is what they used to be, and that's what they still are. The add-ons are exactly the same. Everything up here is the same.
Stats are unchanged completely.
Stats are completely unchanged. It really doesn't change until we get down below.
Down below.
When we get down below, we can see that the may take one choice only. Shield is free. Shields used to be a point if you wanted to buy one. Now they're free. So night goblins with shields is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Night goblins with shields and bow is not a thing.
Yes.
But whatever, there they are. Forest goblins went 2 points cheaper. They used to be a 3-point upgrade.
I like that just because, because I was at the parry and the bow is kind of a no-brainer.
I mean, the common goblins can still do it.
Yeah.
Because they have, I guess they can't.
Take one choice only.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice that when I was looking at that.
So it's a form of a nerf for the people that liked having their hand weapon shield bows.
Yeah. I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big fan of that one. So because it used to be common goblins had a rule. Let's see if they still have it up here. No, they don't. It used to be there we go. If armed with bows, can take shields for free. So the common goblins can still do it.
There it is. Yep. Okay.
Okay. I was going to say that used to be a rule where they could have that. It still is.
Yep. So
we can still do parry and bows with them.
So they're still the ultimate Orcs and Goblins.
They are. They're still the best unit in the game. In the Orcs and Goblins.
Orcs and Goblins core choices.
So here's where we get a little bit different. The shady gets for the combo goblins used to be 10 points, which was ridiculously low. I have to admit,
still too low.
I still think they're still better than a champion,
and they cost less.
So
they're substantially better than a champion, and they cost less.
On the 80 gets. No,
I don't have a problem with shady gets. I got a problem with the damn 20-point champion for a goblin.
Yeah, the 20-point champion is ridiculous. So now I can get.
Where's the Dark Gods guy cost 20 points and the goblin cost 20 points?
Well, that goblin, the shady gets so much better.
I don't care about the 4-inch compared to all the fighting ability. Yeah.
The one advantage down here now is you can get 1 for every 10 common goblins. Still no more than 3 in a unit.
Yeah.
But it used to be 1 per 15.
Okay.
So,
helps you with smaller units to get 3. That's fine.
Oh no, it used to be 1 per 10. I guess I screwed that up. Anyway, cave goblins. Nets still 2 points a pop. Mad Gits went up by 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
So
limited to 8 per army. That was the same. Was it 10 before?
Nah, still 8.
Mm-hmm.
And still max 3 per unit. 8 per army. I guess they're seeing a lot of Mad Gits.
If they're seeing them, they're probably afraid to see a whole table full of them.
I mean, to bring the price up.
Yeah.
They didn't reduce the number. They just brought the price up.
Well, they are quite. If you can get them off when you're being charged by something, they can be very powerful.
And this is the penalty for having to teach your opponent a full page of rules just for one model.
Yeah, and because the way, if you angle them so they have to run over them, they can be very bad, as we saw in our last huge game.
Correct. Yes, we saw a devastated entire unit
of Griffin Knights.
Yeah, and another unit of Cav got shredded by those.
Yep.
All right. Other than that, pretty much the same.
Throwing weapons 5 up.
Correct.
not 4 up. So throwing weapons have quick to fire, and instead of, and you don't have to worry about rapid. What do you call it? There's no more multi-shot. It's incorporated into the.
Yeah. It used to be you hit on 4s, but multi-shot made it 5.
Right.
Anyway.
So it's down. So this is a simplification that I'm a fan of.
It is a simplification that I like, and this is a simplification that actually simplifies things.
Exactly. I'd like to see more of it. Yeah.
It would be nice to see more of that. And now goblins can take a 50-point magic banner.
Yes.
For each unit.
Yep.
Up to, how many can you take of these guys? Forget. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't tell me. So I guess it's unlimited.
So that armor penetration banner, is that for all attacks or just close combat? Do you remember the common one?
I don't remember. We'll have to look.
You have to look, because if it's for all attacks, a whole bunch of bows with -1 AP, that's a nice thing to have.
That would be scary.
Yeah. You're all still limited to 3 units per army. I don't understand the 3 units per army.
I don't either. I think it should have just been the number.
And the 100. Pick one.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need both. So I can't play small units.
Well, I think they do need I think the 100 is the one to stick with.
Yeah, if you're going to limit bow fire.
If I'm limited to 3, I'm going to take 3 units of 60 and really blow somebody off.
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But it doesn't.
I agree.
But I could have more minimum size units, and I can't get as many. It doesn't make sense.
Yep. All right, and then
it takes away flexibility.
And we just go into Shady Gits, Gits. I mean, they're kind of. I believe they're the same. The Shady Gits.
Agility +3.
Agility is it was +3 initiative and lightning reflexes until the end of the round.
Yep. That's the same, and it's got do not gain first among equals or order of the charge.
Still has lethal strike. Still has paired weapons. Yeah.
So pretty much the same. Not everything when you're reading the stuff. Not everything in blue is all the changes, because first they updated everything for the new format and the new terms. So you do have to read stuff.
Right.
And not just assume that it's the same as it was.
All right. Mad Gits can be released in 2 ways, and I believe this is the same as what it used to be.
It's the same. It's just written differently.
No, the only difference was there is a difference. If Mad Gits are released when their units are declaring a stand and shoot, they must all be released.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that stops the confusion and the arguments that I thought you'd already fired those.
Right.
No, I only shot 2. I still had 1 left. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
There's my boys.
The Iron Orcs. So, big change here is they are now minimum size of 15.
Correct.
Instead of 10, if I remember correctly. But I think they're the exact same points, are they not? For the first
they
ones?
were 10 for 100. Now they're
10 for 200.
Exactly
Yeah. And the additional models, are they the same?
26 points apiece.
Okay.
Yep.
So nothing has changed there, except according to the beast herds, when they raise the base points, the base models, that's a nerf. So this is one of your nerfs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do units of 10 anymore, so it is a nerf.
Exactly. Because you want models of 10 for an initiative.
For initiative, 2 guys.
2 guys. I'm sorry.
Well, you can go to
agility, 2 guys.
Agility 2.
My big question is, I'm familiar with the banner enchantment, but I don't know what a banner enchantment is.
Enchantment?
And yeah.
It's when you get in the email.
Is that what it is?
Yes, they email that to you, so you can just attach it.
Because it's Orcs and Goblins, you pay 100 points, but you don't get anything?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it
Perfect.
is. Okay. Yes.
No, this unit stayed the same, except for the minimum size went up. The additional models went down by 5. So basically, you still have a 35 model unit. It's just you have to start with 15 of them.
Yes.
I guess it stops you from doing the unit of 10 with bodyguard just as a bunker. It's an expensive bodyguard bunker, but it's what it was. If you took it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they have bodyguard still for those types of units. It's a shame we can't put a shaman in there. But yeah, I guess the weapon master is under the Iron Orc rule. Or whatever it's called now. Yeah,
correct.
Because it's not here.
It is. It's
so
up there.
You have all the weapons. I think they have the same problems they had before. Is it seems like you're paying for all the weapons,
even though you can only use 1.
Yeah.
This unit I think is probably priced appropriately.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
I think it's off by not a lot, but probably 2 points.
Think so?
Yeah, I'm just thinking some of the elven stuff that would run into.
Boar chariot, exactly where it was, except for the strength 4 boars.
Yep.
So that's kind of nice. Just kind of a bump for them.
Yep.
Brings us to the mounted Ed Bashers.
Yes.
They're mounted and you bash Eds.
Our first elite cavalry, limited only 4 per army.
Only 4 of these units per army. The difference here again is the additional models drop by 2 points a model. So again, at max you're saving 20 points a unit. If you max out this unit, and I don't think anyone's dumb enough except me to max out this unit.
Yeah. And they are cheap. It's cavalry goes until you start putting the upgrades in.
Well, they're cheap until the upgrades go in.
Yep.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
The common orcs. Common orcs actually become a point cheaper per model. So overall, because this upgrade, the common orc this is one of those cases where the common orc is the upgrade over the feral orc.
Yes.
The common orc upgrade used to be 6 points. Now it's 5 points.
Okay.
Of course, the common orc gains heavy armor out of that, and he, I guess that's it. Gains heavy armor out of that.
Yeah, because you still have to buy the shield and the lance. So
you still have to buy the lance if you're going to take a lance, and down here is where you buy a shield, and those count the same. Right. The interesting difference is the feral orcs again are gaining a devastating charge +1 attack, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Now here's an
option for the points. I'm sorry, yep. 8. You're adding the 8 points on top of the 28 for the additional models. That's
they do become more cheaper, but more expensive.
That's 32.
36 if you add 8.
Oh, sorry, 38.
And if they're common orcs, it's 43.
Plus, I have to have that 43. So he's about the same points as if I remember correctly, the old Empire of Sonstal.
Is he?
Base Knights.
Well, you have the Empire Sonstal have the 1-up save. The difference between the two, Empire Sonstal guys have the 1-up armor save. Yep. These guys have the +1 toughness.
And,
same movement.
And the +1 strength.
And we're +1 strength. So I think,
and the bonus on devastate on the first round of combat.
Mm-hmm. So they're still a cheaper.
Yeah.
The difference then what orc players will tell you, the difference is we're initiative 2, and we die before we get to go. What they will say.
Not if you charge.
Well, now you go up to initiative 3.
Yeah, against that Empire cavalry unit.
Correct.
Which is swinging back at your strength 3. I mean, I still think cavalry is
in general is overpriced.
Is overpriced. I think they think too much of it in the game, but compared to monstrous. But yeah.
So anyway. I'm still liking this unit. I'll still play with this unit because I love this. I love the boar boys.
Yeah.
Even if they are, not. It's a cav unit. Cav units aren't, as we know, cav units aren't that great. So anyway.
But we have lots of them painted up, so they must be used.
They must be used. They must be tried to make work regardless. War chariot. Oh, sorry, wrong page. Where am I?
Yes.
There we go. Common Goblin Raiders. Not the Oakland Raiders. Goblin Raiders. Here we have.
The what Raiders?
Sorry.
They renamed also.
Have they? They haven't moved yet.
They're still called Oakland? I thought they... who knows?
Anyway,
they will in the future.
Common Goblin Raiders. Let's bring this to a dead halt when we talk about football in the middle of our...
American football.
American football. All right.
Must be clear.
Thank you. The Raiders now, same price for the initial guys, a point a piece cheaper for the additionals. They get their bonus to their, they retain their ability. If you take models of 8 or more, they become core.
Yeah, I'd like to see that in more books.
I would like the opportunity I would like to see them have the option to lose Vanguard and light troops and gain scoring.
And Fan Flight.
Correct. I would like to see these 3, the option to trade these 3 for scoring.
I would like to see that also. I guess they're trying to keep make the Boar Boys the medium, give you the option of medium heavy cav.
Correct.
And they don't want to make these guys medium cav, but
other than that, now they did get cheaper for upgrade. If you used to run these guys bare bones just as redirectors, chaff redirectors, same thing as you had before. But if you notice, the shield and light lance both came down by a point.
Yep.
So if you're beefing them up like I always wasted points on, they're a few points cheaper.
Yeah, so you spend 10 points and you get a little bit of a fighting ability and a better defense.
Right. Throwing weapons and bows still cost what they used to, but anyway. And they, as you see, they do not have. They're one of the units that has a standard bearer but does not have a magic banner option.
Yeah, and I like throwing weapons on the spider riders.
Throwing weapons on the spider riders is nice.
Yeah.
Although, no, anyway. The wolf chariot did not change. The goblin wolf chariot stayed where it was.
And here also it's 9/9 movement. They didn't give it a bonus.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with that. I would have liked to have seen this. Maybe it will come out.
Maybe it'll come later.
Full
I'd like to see that in a future update that they actually.
The light chariots I would like to see have a faster mark.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just me.
Even if they slow down their charge a little bit.
Watch it. That's heresy.
Generally, make them the more maneuverable chariot versus the power chariot.
Nasher Dashers, the difference here is they dropped by a point a model across the board. The original ones, the first five are. Sorry, no, I'm wrong. Nasher Dashers are exactly the same. They did not change at all.
They count as beast.
Oh, I guess that's a point. They used to be cav. Now they're beasts. I wonder what the difference that makes. Does that make them no longer take dangerous terrain?
I'm curious if... I guess we have to read the harnessed rule if that means it becomes cav. It doesn't say that it's cav on here. I'm sorry, go back up to the boar boys.
Oops, boar boys?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
Well, how about these guys?
Raiders are
They're
the same. They're cavalry.
Yeah, so
they don't get the see above rule.
Well, they get the see above their own. Cav gives you the see above
Cavalry does, but beast doesn't.
Beast doesn't. That's a good point. So they can no longer see over other troops.
And vice versa.
But they don't take dangerous terrains anymore because they're beast, not cav.
Right.
I did not notice that change. You are correct.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's interesting. You're right.
I would argue that's a buff.
Yeah, you can hide them.
You can hide them because they're a little fragile.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, you can hide them, and
they do have mounts protection 1 and all 8 armor. They have a 5 up save.
Baby, yeah. And
they ain't going anywhere.
And since they have fly, you can get them wherever you need them to go.
Yep.
And no dangerous terrain. Yeah, that's.
I guess
if I'm remembering that correctly,
if they use their fly move, they'll take dangerous terrain. I would into the
that's
some
true.
forms of terrain.
Yeah.
But that's only 2 shorter, so you might not have to do that.
Yeah, for a march. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a slight.
Slight buff.
Buff, and this is a unit I like a lot. So
yeah, I've always liked them,
and ninth age.
Right. They used to be. Oh, they used to be skirmish.
Yes.
They used to be skirmish, which gave them the ability of -1 to be shot at.
And they don't have.
And then I used them when they had that.
Okay.
And then they lost that in 1.3.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went away from it.
Because they would just shoot up.
Because they just easily get shot up.
Now they can hide.
The Nasher herd went down. This is what I was saying earlier. Went down by a point a model.
Okay.
They used to be 160 for the initial 10, and they used to be 16 apiece.
And you still get 1 for 5. It's the same.
Yeah, all the other stuff.
Everything else is the same. Okay, and they're.
What's that?
I'm fine.
They still don't. A hit here, I guess, is they do not get a musician option at all. So they're unwieldy. They can be unwieldy.
Yes, that's true. Which is a problem for a number of units in the game. Think about that. Brings us to the Nasher Wrecking Team, which is kind of split on the page here, kind of funkily.
It is.
That's just a format thing.
It went up by 15.
So it's 15 points more.
Pence more.
I'm more from Britain. 15 points more expensive. It's a beast, but it's large.
It's a large beast.
Yes.
Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Like I said. This was a big change. The trolls.
Yeah.
The trolls, the base troll point went down by 10.
Right.
It used to be 120 for one. The 9 additional models used to be 68 apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So they went down. Stats stayed the same.
So they're cheaper. They're cheaper. I was actually excited when I saw, oh, there's no stupid in the rule book, and then I found that it was actually at the unit level. Yeah.
The cave trolls went down a couple extra points. These used to be 16 a model.
Yeah.
Used to pay that for them. And the bridge trolls used to pay 14 a model.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple, a few points a model. It's not a big model count, so it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right.
But it is a little few.
It's just a little balancing thing, but otherwise they're the same.
Yep.
Same dude, same problem. No command.
No command is the problem. Grotlings, if I'm correct, no changes at all.
So they're still skirmish. They're still unstable. Yeah. Insignificant.
They still scout and vanguard.
And they have throwaway weapons hitting on a 5-up.
Correct.
Were they a 5-up before?
They were.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
The scrap wagon stayed where it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they made some changes and built some stuff in. They no longer have to list AP2. They no longer have to list AP2 as a special rule. They just bump it up here into the Strength 4 AP3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how they're doing things moving forward. It's kind of a nice.
Have you seen many of these?
What?
Scrap wagons.
Not a lot.
I haven't. I think
they have a decent use as a war machine guard.
Yes, there seems to be their role.
Because you can kind of run into your own units and not go anywhere and stick around and guard units.
I think they need something.
And you can also you kind of scare ambushers a bit if they're not too strong.
Ambushes and skirmishers.
I mean, you've got a tough 4 with you only got a 6-up armor, but you're tough 4 with 4 wounds, so you can kind of maybe survive if you survive that initial round of shooting attacks when they pop on the board.
Yeah. I think they need something, either a point drop or something.
Death from above. So what we've got here is the skewerer.
These are all the war machines for the army.
Correct. All the war machines gained light armor. So you have a 6-up save.
Okay.
Don't.
It's a buff, I guess.
You see? They got buffed.
They got buffed, yeah. Points are the same?
Points are the same. The Greenhide Catapult, both of them, they gained their armor. Other than that,
another buff.
They have the Orc Overseer, which is exactly what it used to be.
No. Did it have that before? It changes its size to large?
That's what I was going to say. That's the one thing it does different.
That's a new thing, right? Yeah.
Is it changed the size to large. It still works the same otherwise, but it changes the size of the...
that's a big deal with the new observation rules.
Because now you can see over infantry, but be seen over infantry.
Yes, you can be seen, but at least you can keep shooting. Well, there's some war machines that cannot.
Correct. So that's a little bit of a bonus. They also removed the 0-2 on the Splatterer.
Oh, interesting.
You can now take 3, or I guess 3 is your max, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're focused against cavalry, in my opinion, or individual guys running. Well, now
Splatterer is the rock lobber. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You still can only take 2 of the other ones.
Oh, I'm reading that backwards.
The Splatterer, yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, oh, fantastic. Nope, never mind.
Well, yeah, catapult 4.
But you can still have 3 catapults. It's one of the weakest catapults in the game. But actually, I think it is the weakest catapult in the game.
What makes it weak?
The Strength 3, only Strength 3, AP4. So only Strength 3, 4 template size, no bonus anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I mean, most catapults have a something. -1 armor save. They have a bigger pattern. They have something.
Yeah, the catapult weapons. Yeah.
This is one of the only catapults in the game that's just plain vanilla catapult.
That's
which
true.
Kind of fits for an orky thing, I guess.
Yeah, I know it's still fine. I mean, it's
right.
Oh, I mean, I think the 6x6 is 5x5 is challenging as it is, and then the other one's the same.
Yeah, the other one did not change.
Okay.
Big and nasty. We have the Gargantula.
They got to change his name. Big and nasty. I don't know.
He has been impressing everyone so much they had to raise the price on him.
I'm voting for Big Griblies. That's what
which
the name
is really devastating. This, I'm protesting. I'm quitting playing
because he went up 10 points.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just awful.
What is that? It's not even a percent. What is that? It's 1/4%.
That could cost you a
Less
couple
than that?
goblins.
No, it cost me a goblin.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just so unfair.
So anyway, but on the other hand, the web launcher did come down by 30.
Oh, okay.
So I think that again.
So it's 50 now. That's nice.
So I think you will be seeing more of these guys.
And it's strength 3, correct?
Same as it was.
Yeah, and catapult 4, and then your opponent takes dangerous terrain if they get hit the next time they move, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I've always thought the funny thing was, can take only 1 per army, but does not stack if you get hit by multiples. Where does it say that in there? Somewhere there. Did they take that line out? Maybe they did. Okay. Good for them. Okay. Anyway, the old one used to say did not stack if it got hit by multiples.
Yeah. Shame you can't have 2.
Yeah.
Just catapult the crap out of your opponent. You can go like Uber catapult mode.
And
3
here
of the
he
other
is.
ones, one of those.
We've talked about this guy before.
The great, not so great Green Idol.
The below average Green Idol
Yes.
is took a 30-point
Great
discount.
gobbledygook. Yeah.
He's 30 points cheaper.
He is cheaper.
He gains supernal.
He's supernal.
He can still be the battle standard bearer for 100 points. The difference with him is now anyway.
He's
his buff is a +1 offensive skill, +2 offensive skill if he's in combat. To everyone within 6, including himself.
Which means
he's weapon skill 4.
In some situations, he will help people hit or not get hit.
No, it doesn't help him not get hit. That's only
offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what it is.
It's not enough of a buff to be a buff wagon, and he's not fighty enough to be a fighty guy.
The only thing he can, and he's not stubborn. The only thing he can be used for is to try to plug a unit.
He's a plug. With
a resilience 8.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the challenge is not being stubborn. If he's stubborn, he'd have that role. He'd be effective at it. It's just, and now that the giant's not stubborn, it'd be
even more that
a reason to give it to this guy. You know,
since the giant lost it.
Yeah, I mean, you just like to kind of you just see something on the guy. Yeah. You know, I don't know.
Well, hopefully they're not done. Hopefully the play testing and the beta will come back and tell them.
Yeah.
This
if those impact hits were grind attacks instead, that would help.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
He
does have a strength. He does have a weapon skill 4 crush attack. Now, come on.
Yeah, there you go. He just, he's just not. He needs to be a lot cheaper. He needs to be something a little different. He just doesn't seem to have a role in the army except to look neat. And
the last unit in the army is the giant.
Yes.
Coming in at a whopping 10 points more than he used to.
Yes. And he's much different than he used to, so we can't even compare him.
He has an innate defense 1. He used to have a 6-up ward. It's a little better than an innate defense 1.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. The giant's just completely, like you said, there's so much difference you don't really compare him to the old ones.
Got an extra hit point. He's got fixed attacks now.
Correct. Well, he starts with 5 attacks. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the base stat I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you take that wrecking ball.
Not a D6.
So, and he's got the rage. So as he gets hurt, he adds an additional attack, which is it's a fluffy rule. So you want his initiative to be down, so he gets hit, so he gets wounded, so he hits.
Yeah, I want to fight things that are a little bit faster
but
than me, but not strong enough to hurt.
But not enough stuff to kill to actually take out 7 wounds of you.
Correct.
A couple would be fine. And then the one thing we weren't sure about when we read it last time is you can only take one of the 3 weapon choices. You can't take the nets with the club.
So I think it's a standard. I think it's going to see giants with clubs.
I think you're all about the club, man.
Because the club on the first round of combat means you have 5 strength 7 attacks.
Exactly.
And that's really nice. You get hurt a few times, and that number goes up even higher.
Exactly, and the wrecking balls is a random thing. It's just not. You got other ways to get this. It just doesn't. You don't need it.
The nets are nice, I guess, for reducing strength and getting hit, but
Yeah.
which helps you if you're tough. Since you're only tough 5, but anyway.
But then you got to put out the damage, and
They're
it's not
still
helping
in
you do
roll up
that.
6s.
Being able to get up to 6 is just such a.
And I think the wrecking
bonus.
ball. He's a fanatic. It's really. I don't.
I'd rather take the wrecking team than. So.
Yeah, I don't like him as with the wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He becomes like a large size wrecking team that
does less damage.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's strength 6.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Anyway.
I don't see why you'd ever take that.
All right.
But the club, I think you see some interesting things with the club option.
I think the club is. Of course, that makes him 320 points, but
that's great.
I do like the club. I think the club is the answer.
And I think you may actually see 3 of these in an army.
Yeah. We'll see if you can fit 3. Anyway.
Well, this category is.
I guess so. 320.
Yeah, that'd be 960.
960.
Yeah. What's the category limit?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yep, went too far. 30%.
30.
So easily.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe
nice.
Maybe even work a spider in there. The
2 on a spider, maybe.
Yeah. Definitely
anyway, so that's the list. So I didn't see any. As far as nerfs to the army, nothing really comes to mind as a major nerf to the army.
No, not surprising because this army has needed some help.
Correct. And there's minor tweaks across the board. And I'll say I didn't see anything that was a major nerf to the army. There's nothing that's a major plus to this army either.
Right. To me, the army has a problem, and it's a gun lines monster support army. I don't see that changing.
No.
Some minor, bonuses to some of the orc units, but they have other challenges. So,
orcs being a point cheaper across the board may encourage them, but I don't think it's
point's not enough to add up to.
Well, the problem is you can't bring orcs down to the same points as goblins.
That's the problem.
Is the issue.
And the problem is,
and goblins are too good for what. I don't want to say too good for what they do. They do what they do.
Well, and a lot of bad guys doesn't equal a small number of good guys in the game, and that's you still want to have the special elites and everything else. So they need to fix as we mentioned before, they need to do something for armies that rely on core guys, so they can just do something without having to have strength buffs or weird things like that. But
right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in the rules. But I was expecting more than just a few tweaks here and there and some point adjustments. I thought we might see something else, but
to tell you the truth, from what I had read, all summer, what I had read, this is what I expected out of all armies. Minor tweaks and points adjustments until the army books came out. This is what I was expecting.
I was expecting that they were going to have 4 changes of note, based on the, put in the 4 things.
You look at something and say, oh, wow, that's good.
And for every one that you increase, you need to decrease. So I was expecting 4 changes, and I was expecting, some focus on a couple of units in each army book to maybe get fixed if they were broken in some way. So I did expect that, and I think nothing in here is broken. You could argue about the spider being really good, but that's because you don't have anything else to fill in those voids. And I think I'll say that the giant changes a buff, but that's not just for this army. It's everybody's got giants.
Correct.
Because it's much more reliable now. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought they would try to do something a little different to help orcs out. I don't see the orc advantage still. So
yeah, it's still not there.
Yeah.
But so anyway, like I said, but my big point was this is kind of in lines of what I expected.
Yeah. I didn't expect radical changes to any books.
But from what I'm seeing, some of the changes look.
Yeah.
Some of the other
books look a little different.
Look more radical than what I'm seeing here. So.
Yeah.
Anyway. So overall, I think it's an overall plus for us orcs.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
mean,
it's a minor buff.
They smacked my cave gnasher, which upsets me. But
Yeah, just terrible. Yeah.
it's still not, I hate to say it, it's still not overpriced. So fine.
And I'm looking forward to see giants on the table again.
Yes, so am I.
So I think that'll be a thing that you'll see. That'll be kind of interesting.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it.
So thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
All right, I'll give it a thumbs up too.
Because this is what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, now, if I will tell you this. sorry, it should be the thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, we're done. No, but when I look at this to compare to what happened to other armies that were performing, from what I've seen that's happening to other armies that were performing, from what I understand, even better than this one.
Yeah.
When I see what happened with them, the pluses, the bonuses they got, I can go the other way. But from looking at this as straight, looking at this book compared to the last book,
we're only comparing
this is a
it.
plus.
We're only comparing it to itself.
If you pair it to itself, it's a bonus.
Yeah, grass is always greener otherwise.
Correct.
Even sometimes it actually is greener.
It doesn't always look greener. Sometimes there's a reason it looks greener.
Exactly.
Because it is.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Till next time.